There are two ways of starting the WebView interface. In this video, we'll first show you how to launch WebView from the Cogent DataHub configuration screen. This is a convenient way of starting WebView if you're a developer or you want to test various configuration settings. Next, we'll show you how to log into WebView simply by entering the address in your web browser. This is the typical way you would start WebView if you're a developer or an end user working on a networked or remote computer. So let's first start the Cogent DataHub. This is the underlying data management program that connects to your data sources and makes real-time data available to your WebView screens. Next, we'll start DataSim and DataPID. These are a couple of simulation programs that ship with the Cogent DataHub, and they'll provide us with some data we'll use in the WebView demo pages. Now we'll open the DataHub configuration screen. We can either double-click on the icon in the tool tray, or we can right-click and choose Properties. If we click on the WebView button, we can see the options available for starting WebView. For now, we're simply going to click on the Launch WebView in a Browser button. When we do this, WebView launches and we're presented with a login page. In another video, we'll look to see how we can configure usernames and passwords and assign permissions to these users. For now, I'm simply going to log in using the default login username of admin with the default password of admin. When we click Connect, we'll see that WebView opens up in edit mode. If I maximize the screen, you'll see a little better. And it also loads the page that's been defined as the start page. These options can be configured in the DataHub, as we'll see later on in this video. And we will look at screen editing in more detail in other videos. So for now, I'm just going to click on the green arrow to enter Run Mode. As you might expect, Run Mode is what WebView looks like to the typical end user who logs in with a username and password that does not allow them to edit any pages. In this mode, we can navigate to different pages and we can see live data coming from the DataHub. If we navigate back, I'll just show you a couple more pages. These are some simple shapes we have. And we can change the opacity, change the angle of things. But for now, what I want to do is show you if we click on this red X up here, we'll exit Run Mode and go back to the editor. Now let's close WebView and take a look at some of the options for configuring how WebView starts. To close WebView, we simply close the browser or navigate to another page. The warning we see simply tells us that if we navigate away from this page, any changes we've made in edit mode will be lost unless we go back and first save them. Back in the DataHub configuration page, we're going to tell the DataHub to start in Run Mode and start in what we call Kiosk Mode. I'm also going to tell the DataHub to start with a different startup page. If we now click on the Launch button, you'll see we're once again presented with the login and password. So if I log in again with admin, you'll see this time WebView has started full screen in Run Mode and it's loaded a different start page. You'll also notice that the WebView screen does not have any of the icons across the top. This is what Kiosk Mode does for us. It puts us into a full screen page and it prevents the user from clicking on something by accident. If you're in kiosk mode and you want to switch back to edit mode, then as long as you have edit permissions in your username, you can simply press Ctrl-Shift-R and that will put you back into edit mode. Now let's close this down and have a look at how we would start WebView directly from within our web browser. So first I'll open up our web browser, and to save time I'll just choose a link from the browser history. In this case we're actually linking to a DataHub that's running on a different network computer. So we're actually logging into a different WebView system. On this system I've set up a couple of usernames, one for an operator that has limited permissions and one for a developer that has full permissions. So if I log in as my operator, user1 and password, and press return, and here we see a different startup page. This page is displaying data from the remote computer on our network. And again, this is part of the demo pages. And I can navigate around and look at some of the other demo pages we have here. And this again is showing information coming from the remote system. Now you remember in kiosk mode we have the keystroke to get back into edit mode. But for this user, because they do not have edit permissions, if I try typing Ctrl-Shift and R, then this doesn't work. But let's go back. If we actually refresh this, we'll get back to our login page. That's the equivalent of restarting WebView. This time I'm going to log in with a different login name. This is the one I set up for our developer. Again, as we start WebView and log in, we're presented with the same startup page as before, but this time, because I have edit privileges for this username that I entered, if I type Ctrl-Shift and R, then we'll flip back out into edit mode. Now in this mode, any changes that I make to this screen, if I were to save these changes, they would be saved remotely on the DataHub computer that we're logged into. Anybody else who was logged into that page, once I'd saved the changes, as soon as they refresh their page in the browser, they would see the changes that I made. No need to deploy. All the changes are saved directly on the server. So, in this video, we've had a look at the two ways we can start DataHub WebView. Either from the Cogent DataHub configuration screen, which allows us to make changes to the startup and set permissions, or we can launch directly from the web browser by typing the URL for the DataHub WebView.asp page. If you have any questions, then please check out the online documentation for WebView at the address displayed here.